from the 704 once again for episode 59 of the 815 Exchange. One episode away from 60. But yeah, we got a lot of football. If you like football, this is the episode. This is the episode for you. This is a tailor-made episode for you because we're gonna be talking about a lot of football because there was a lot that happened in football. I mean, we're talking about both types of football. We got European football. We got football, American football. This is a football-based episode. It is a football-based episode. And if you're trying to, get to a particular, NFL, or maybe you want to see the MLB, want to hear what I talked about in baseball, or what I talked about in entertainment, as always, timestamps are in the description. So, yeah, like I always say, every episode, everything you want to find is in the description. Same thing with my social medias, which are also found in the description, or at the end of this video in the outro. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight to college football. Week 3 now. It was an interesting one, so let's get straight to it. Of course, we're going to start off with the home team, University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Took on Georgia State, the largest public university in Georgia, which I found out this week, which is kind of shocking. But Georgia State ended our undefeated run. Offense just couldn't get going. Defense didn't do a bad job, but we just got beat. We got beat. There's nothing really notable I can say about the game. We just straight up, we got beat. We got beat by Georgia State. It's all right. I think we're back at the crib this week, and I don't know exactly who we're playing, but hopefully we can get back to terms. I think we, honestly, our home record since I've been here and since Will Haley arrived here at UNC Charlotte, or should I just say Charlotte, it's been different. It's been different. Club lit has been really lit when we're at home, so we'll see if we can regain the magic back home. Also, another one of my favorite teams, if you don't know already, USC. I had to talk about us, and I had to kick us off as I head to the national slate here. I had to kick us off with USC because, my goodness, that first half, let's say the first half of that game, Washington State up 14-0. 14-0. I was ready to go in full panic mode. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I was ready to go in full panic mode. Everything was down, and then Keaton got hurt. Keaton Slovis goes down with a concussion or a sprained neck. They haven't really clarified which of the two, but a head injury. And it looked like all hope was lost. All hope was lost for us USC fans. It looked like it was about to be another embarrassing loss for the Trojans. But have no fear. Jaxon Dart is here. Yes, the hardest name, which I have to say. Him, Tank Bigsby, and Smoke Monday have the absolute, and I guess if you want to be, throw memes, General Booty, have the hardest names in college football, and possibly in football, period. Jaxon Dart, that sounds like a made up, and I've been saying this since he committed to USC. I might have chronicled that on a previous episode. I've been saying this since he committed. Like, that is like, it's like a comic book name. Jaxon Dart, quarterback at USC. And what did Dart do, the freshman, reigning, defending National Gatorade Player of the Year? 30 for 46, 423, most passing yards ever in a USC quarterback debut. 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but I'll take the gunslinger, mentality. Drake London, possibly the best receiver in America, by the way. 13 receptions, 170, 2 touchdowns. If you're not acquainted, get acquainted. If you don't know, now you know. Jaxon Dart, Drake London looked magical. The team it responded to Dante. By the way, we got rid of Clay Helton on the Monday that I released episode 58, so I didn't get to celebrate. So we're celebrating right now, and we're celebrating with this win, 45-14 over Washington State. Yes, I understand that it's Wazoo, but I don't care. This was huge. First game of Dante Williams' tenure, first game with Jaxon Dart, and it was beautiful. It was the most fun I've had watching USC in quite some time. So I'll take it. Moving on. Oklahoma and Nebraska. I think it was 30, 40 years ago they had game of the century. This is one of a very big rivalry that hasn't been played much. And a lot of people after this game are bidding for it to be played more. But this is a rivalry, believe it or not. In Oklahoma, First off, DJ Graham with one of the best catches you will ever see. Not even just best interceptions, one of the best catches you will ever see. That interception was insane. If I can use that for the picture, then I probably used it But DJ Graham, insane interception. Spencer Rattler, not a bad game, but this quarterback class is just, it's not looking, it's not living up to the hype. It's not. To be brutally honest, it's not. It's just not. It's just not living up to what people's standards are. And Rattler just not been great so far. Maybe it's one of those things where he's got to settle in, but it hasn't been working. Oklahoma looking very suspect. Congrats to Nebraska for making it a close one, but OU still gets the win here, 23-16. Moving on, Cincinnati and Indiana. I don't know what happened to Michael Penix. We talked about him last year. He was a phenomenal quarterback for 9-win, 8-win when we were talking about Indiana last year. He was great. This year, not so much. I don't know what happened to Penix, but 3 interceptions in this game. I think he went 17 for 40 as well. Just awful. And even with Indiana's, being a problem, Ty Frugal as well had a couple drops. Just was not a great game from Indiana. They still kept this close most of the way. Cincinnati chose the wrong time to have a down game, or maybe the right time because they still survived 38-24. But Riddler didn't have a great game, closed the show, which is important. He did close the show, shut it down in the fourth quarter, but not the most impressive win for a Cincinnati team that's looking for impressive wins. But Bearcats still undefeated, that's all that matters. UNC and Virginia had an absolute shootout. There was a couple games where there was some absolute, points galore. 59-39. Sam went 14 for 21, 307, 5 touchdowns. So better games after the week 1 complete debacle against Virginia Tech for Sam Howell. Some better games these past 2. 5 touchdown game for him here. Brennan Armstrong for Virginia. Got to give a shout out to him. 39 for 54. 554 yards. That is not a typo. That is 550 yards passing with 4 touchdowns himself. And Josh Downs has stepped right into Daz Newsome and Diami Brown's shoes and immediately become that number 1 receiver that UNC needs and that Sam Howell needs. Clearly his favorite target. 8 receptions, 203 and 2 touchdowns. Had that insane leaping, or should I say diving, touchdown catch in the end zone. That was another phenomenal catch this week. But UNC puts up nearly a 60 bomb. Congrats on the win over Virginia. That was a very tough matchup. Coastal Carolina survives Buffalo 28-25. Grayson McCall continues to be one of the better quarterbacks, I'd say, in America. 13 for 19, 232, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Shamari Jones as well, 16 carries, 149, 1 touchdown. Coastal Carolina, man. They're one of those group of 5 teams that, they're making some noise. They made some noise last year, but they're making some noise, putting on for NC. Putting on right now. They're putting on right now. Good win versus Buffalo. Not that Buffalo's some great team, and they only won by 3, but still, Coastal remains undefeated, moves on, live to fight another week. The ACC is down horrendous, but you know who's up fantastically is Mel Tucker and this Michigan State team. They win 38-17 over Miami, who I think they should be unranked. If they're not unranked, they should be. Peyton Thorne, 261, 4 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker needs to be in Heisman conversations, 172 on the ground. Another 100-yard game for him on the ground. He's been one of the best backs in America, one of the best players in America this year. Michigan State looking good. I'm not going to say they're back. I'm not going to say all that. But Mel Tucker is doing a fantastic job. Manny Diaz is on a scorching hot seat. He is on a scorching hot seat right now. This Miami team just has no fight. They have no fight. Honestly, turnover chain, they need to retire all that. Until they get this together, they don't need to be doing any of the flashy, any of the swagger that they use, so it doesn't, because they're not the U right now. They're not. The big game of the week, however, well, 1 or 2 big games of the week, but you could probably say it was the bigger one. Number 1, Alabama versus Florida. And Alabama survives. They survived. Early on, it looked like it. I went, and I forget what I did. I think I went to the gym around that time, or I came back from the gym. It wasn't looking good. It was not looking good for Florida. They were getting murdered. I think it was like 20-something to like 9. It was. People were calling for Emory Jones's head, but Alabama survives. Florida rallies. It feels like Florida always gets so close to pulling off the big win, but just can't pull it off. They get so close, but just cannot beat that team. For whatever reason, whether it's Alabama or it's LSU or Georgia, they get so close, a possession there, and they just run out of time or run out of gas. Or one thing, they always play them close, but never can finish the job. And Bryce Young, who should be the Heisman favorite, and is probably, number one pick next year. 22 for 35, 240, 3 touchdowns. Will Anderson and Drew Sanders were dominant sophomores in this game defensively. Emory Jones started off rough, but he rallied. Mullen is a great coach, and he has a lot of faith in Emory Jones, which I understand. Emory waited his turn, and he's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the guy. It's supposed to be his time. I get it. I really do. I understand. But at a certain point in time, if you got Anthony Richardson, which I understand they set him out because of the injury, but he was doing backflips in pregame. If there's a guy that's clearly better, you gotta give up that loyalty to win games, and I think that's something that's going to have to be addressed, similar to the USC quarterback situation. A situation that's going to have to be addressed for Dan Mullen and for that Florida team. Alabama remains, in my opinion, the undisputed number one team in the land. Penn State and Auburn, the number, if that was 1A, this was 1B for the week, right? Penn State, whiteout, and, they're 500 on these whiteout games, even though the atmosphere is always nuts. I would love to go to a whiteout game. But you know what? Penn State held it down this year. They absolutely held it down. Jahan Dotson, 10 receptions, 78 yards and a touchdown, looking like what he is, which is one of the best receivers in the country. Some NFL team is going to be very, very excited about getting Jahan Dotson next year. Tank Bigsby. Put some respect on Tank's name. He is so, underrated to me. He should be getting more pub, in my opinion, as one of the best running backs in the country. Because he is. He straight up is one of the best running backs in the country. But he's underrated, in my opinion, almost. But yeah, Penn State gets the win. They hold it down. They win the whiteout. The atmosphere was insane. Auburn put up a good fight. Bo Nix kind of resorted back to some, old Bo Nix. Even though he's been good so far this season, he resorted back to some old Bo Nix tendencies. So we'll see what happens there. Penn State gets the win, though. Great week for the Big Ten. BYU takes down Arizona State 27-17. Jaden Daniels, all I got to say about this one is Jaden Daniels continues to regress. BYU continues to win, and Jaden Daniels, after all the hype he had after his freshman year, continues to regress and regress and regress. Forenzo State, to end off all of the major games I talk about, even though this wasn't supposed to be a major game, but Forenzo State, Pac-12 after dark, Mountain West after midnight. It's a different time. 40-37, Forenzo State pulls off the upset of UCLA after how hot they started, how intimidating they started. It was a great week. It was a great week to be a USC fan, to see the other team in LA take the L like that. Jake Hayner, got to give a shout to Jake Hayner. With one hip, this man went 39 for 53, 455, game-winning drive, game-winning touchdown. Shout out to Hayner, he was phenomenal. Jalen Cropper, also for Forenzo State, 14 receptions, 141, 1 touchdown. Ronnie Rivers, 21 carries, 136, 2 touchdowns. DTR, 345 yards total, 3 touchdowns for him. Kyle Phillips also had a great game for UCLA, 7 receptions, 113, 2 touchdowns. But nonetheless, the Bruins can't get it done. They get taken down. Huge upset. Huge win for Forenzo State. And congrats. Hayner, what a beast. And just to kind of summarize and, round up this college football section, Matt Corral, Matty Ice. I'm taking the Matty Ice away from Matt Ryan. We'll talk about that later. I'm putting it on Matt Corral. 7 touchdowns, 3 passing, 4 running against Tulane. Matt Corral definitely got to be in Heisman conversations, and he has to be rocketing up draft boards. He's been... I couldn't predict... I knew he was going to be good, but I couldn't have predicted how good Corral was going to be this year. Blake Corum, 3 touchdowns, 60 bomb for Michigan against Northern Illinois. Great job. Corum, I think that's his third 100-yard game for Michigan this year. Good stuff there. West Virginia takes down Virginia Tech. Huge upset there. Virginia Tech. You just knew it was coming. I had a feeling. You just had a feeling West Virginia was going to pull it off. And to end off this college football segment, ladies and gentlemen, that has been very long. Florida State is 0-3. I don't know how they're going to be able to keep Travis Hunter playing like this, but that's up for Mike Norvell and the rest of that program to figure out. FSU, I don't know what is rock bottom at this point. Is this rock bottom? This feels like rock bottom, but y'all just continue to keep falling lower and lower and lower. So I don't really know. But yeah, FSU definitely not back. They're in the dumps. Now to head over to soccer because it was an interesting week, and of course Champions League. Champions League returned, and we love. It's one of the most wonderful times of the year when Champions League comes back because you get the best versus the best, and anything can happen in Champions League. And Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo, even though I'm sure with all of his goals and experience in the Champions League, and the fact that he is Mr. Champions League, he knows that better than anybody. But yeah, young boys took down Man U. I don't know what to say. Aaron Wan-Bissaka gets taken, out with that red card, which you can argue whether it was justified or not. But the spider goes out and everything fell apart. I mean, everything fell apart for Man U. And young boys capitalized. Congratulations to them. That's a huge, huge win in match day 1 in the Champions League. Take 3 points from Manchester United like that. For Man U, I saw the Ole out trending again. Listen, it's, it happens. It happens. It was unfortunate circumstances. Ole is fine. Man U, they'll be fine. Just got to win. You got to win from here on out because you can't really drop any more points. But, hate it for you. Bayern Munich. What more can I say about Robert Lewandowski and this Bayern Munich team? I mean, what more can I say? They took on Barca in what a couple years ago would have been a matchup of giants. Well, not so much this year. 3-0. It wasn't even a conversation. It wasn't really close. It wasn't really debatable. It wasn't really, no, Bayern. Complete domination. Barca, I don't know where you go from here. Dealing with some injuries as well. Dealing with some formational problems. Memphis was just kind of played in the wrong position. Didn't really work out. I don't know. This is going to be a very long season, Barca fans. I'm going to just say it now. It's going to be a long, long season. A season which you haven't felt in a very, very long time. Even last year. So, good luck. Good luck is the best thing I can say. Bayern Munich is Bayern Munich, but nonetheless, staying with the Bundesliga teams, Jude and Haaland. Erling Haaland cannot stop scoring. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. It's not a strange addiction because it's his job, but it's an addiction. Dude cannot. He's the machine. He's the machine for a reason. He cannot stop scoring. He scored against Besiktas. He scored on the weekend. It's just, he's just clinical. He's clinical. It feels like he's going to score every game. I say this every time I'm about to talk about Haaland. It feels like he's going to score every game. But this game was not about Erling. It was talking about Jude Bellingham, the 18-year-old English midfielder, the Stevie G region, whatever you want to call him. Jude was phenomenal. Yet another case of him at only 18 years old taking over games and being an absolute force. Jude Bellingham, looking like, God willing, he stays healthy, going to be one of the best midfielders in the world one day and probably one of the better players in the world one day. He was phenomenal. He was an absolute phenom for Dortmund during the week. PSG has struggled. I don't know how much longer Pac, even though he's winning, and it's mostly because they're getting rescued by Mbappe, if I'm being completely blunt. Like they got rescued yesterday on that insane, beautiful cross to Icardi to beat Leon. And then they tied here against Brugge. Like they're struggling. And they shouldn't be struggling. The midfield has not been great. They're missing Verratti. Defense, just got to get the formation right. I feel like they got defenders. It's just unacceptable. With a team of this talent, PSG should be operating at a Bayern Munich level, and they're just not. Now, maybe it's going to take time for that front three, the magical front three of Mbappe, Messi, Neymar, to gel, but Pac also needs to serve some of the blame for putting these guys in the wrong positions. Mbappe shouldn't be playing in the center. Put him on a wing. Put him in some space where he can operate, where he can create, where he's best, right? Put Neymar on the other wing. Put Messi, who we've seen working through the middle, work through that. Put him in the middle. Figure it out. Put him at a cam. Put another striker up. Put Icardi up if you got to. Figure out the midfield. Figure this out. You got way too much time to be struggling like you are. Remaining in the Champions League here, going back to England. Man City and I guess another Bundesliga team. Man City and Leipzig put on a scoring fest, 6-3, one of the highest scoring Champions League games of all time. It felt like everybody scored their first Champions League goal for Man City here. Nathan Ake, rest in peace to his mother as well. I heard that happened through the week, or was it his father? One of his parents. But I send my condolences. Jack Grealish, Gabriel Jesus, Christopher Nkunku. I don't know what it is about when he plays a big club, but it just seems like he's got a hat trick, up his sleeve. He gets a hat trick here. But Man City put up 6, so I mean, Leipzig, y'all just tend to be on the high-scoring end of things. Your defense is not great. To be put that in as simplest form as possible. Your defense isn't great. Just isn't great. Man City takes advantage. Probably the best game of the week was Liverpool and AC Milan. Something about when those two teams play, it's just something different. Hendo with the winner, an absolute insane goal for Jordan Henderson, by the way. Liverpool gets the win 3-2. Sebastian Haller got 4 goals for Ajax against Sporting. Real Madrid, it's been party time with Roddy, who scored against Inter for the win. Vinicius continues to score seemingly every game. Karim Benzema continues to be absolutely world class. Fun times for Real Madrid. It's a good time to be a Real Madrid fan. Especially after getting Camavinga, you got all this young talent, they're looking good. Barca looks like they don't know what they're doing. It's a great time, honestly. It's a lot of bright futures ahead for Real Madrid. It looks like the Spanish Giants might get back to form, might get to the Real Madrid we expect sooner than later. It looks like it's going to be a very, very bright future for those young players. But that was soccer. Now heading over to entertainment, which is really just TV this week. What If? We have the What If series, and one of my favorite What If episodes, I think I'm going to say, Killmonger. What if Killmonger saved Tony Stark? And listen, we knew Killmonger was different, right? From when Black Panther dropped, he was considered one of the best villains Marvel has ever had. This episode only further cemented the brilliance of Eric Killmonger, aka Eric Stevens, whatever you want to call him. Dude is a maestro. He's a maestro. He is a master manipulator. He is a savage. He's Chico. He's Chico. He is a Chico. He is what Ares wishes he was. I mean, the manipulation in this episode, and once again, spoiler alert, saves Tony Stark, so Tony never goes, through this whole, mental change of, mind and becomes Iron Man. That never happens, right? That never happens. Killmonger saves him, and just, it deteriorates from there. He basically manipulates Tony into building himself weapons and changing combat, and then sets up a war. He decides, okay, time to return back to Wakanda. He killed Rhodey. He killed T'Challa. Came back as the sun returning. He killed Claw. So then set up this big war between America and Wakanda, in which he was playing both sides. Becomes the Black Panther. When Tony tries to, rebel against him, once he sees Killmonger for what he is, he kills Tony. I think this is the 3rd episode that Tony's died in the What If series. Dude, just complete dominance from Killmonger. A complete and utter dominance. We saw SHOHEI report back, and they want to make a change there with Pepper, but dude, good gracious. And shout out to Michael B. Jordan, great voice work. I saw the anime reference, put a little bit of himself in the character. He's great as Killmonger. Honestly, I wish they didn't kill him off, because I would love to see him more in the MCU, because he's just such a great character and such an interesting, compelling character. But yeah, Killmonger, he wins. He absolutely won this episode. Even though we'll see, if the continuation of SHOHEI and Pepper would have been able to get the world to go against him. But, for all intents and purposes, Killmonger succeeded in this episode. Even though he kind of succeeded in Black Panther, he definitely succeeded in this episode of What If. Titans, episode 8. Scarecrow broke. He completely broke, murdered his mother. It looked like he was down and out, but then, pulled it out. He pulled it out, took the dub at the end of the episode. So now we got a situation going in which it seems like that fear toxin might be expressed and spreaded all over Gotham. We'll see what happens in episode 9. Jason trying to, go on his redemption arc. We knew this was coming, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. They addressed the fact that Jason's a killer, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's kind of telling an interesting story about addiction and kind of the pitfalls of that with Jason. So I am interested in that. We finally got to see some more Tim Drake. He knew who Dick was. He knew who Jason was. Kind of pushing towards him eventually becoming Robin. He did get shot at the end of episode 8. So we'll see what happens there. It doesn't seem like his parents died, which is a good thing. Because, not every Bat son not every Robin, not everybody that's associated with Bats needs to have a dead parent. Doesn't have to happen. But yeah, Tim Drake, interested to see what happens there. Grayson and Gordon, Dick Babs continues to, evolve, and they're going through whatever they're doing. And yeah, the relationship is flourishing, honestly. It's flourishing. It's been portrayed pretty well in this episode, so no complaints there. Blackfire and Connor continue to evolve their relationship. Everybody getting cuffed, which means it's time for Raven to come back so my Gar can have his love interest as well. Even though Gar was great in this episode, I will give a shout to Gar. He was good. Gar held it down in this episode. He carried a little bit. Just a little bit. He carried the emotional weight. Shout out to Ryan Parter. He's a great actor. But yeah, that was entertainment. Now to head over, before I head to the NFL, we're going to go to the MLB. And simply put, this section is about the MVP race. This section is about the MVP race. I don't know who's going to win. You let me know who's your MVP, okay? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been scorching hot along with the rest of that Blue Jays team, and I'll talk about them later. But he's been scorching hot to end the season. He is honestly, besides that, he's RBIs. He's like 7 RBIs short. And at this rate, he might catch up to Salvador Perez, who also is having a great season, from the Triple Crown. And he's leading in a bunch of categories already. The Blue Jays are really, really good. And Vlad has been the catalyst. He's taken over the home run lead. He's already leading in average. Like, I don't know who to give the MVP to. I really, really don't. Ohtani's home run pace has kind of died down. A lot of people wondering if he's tired. Well, to answer that question, he went 8 innings, even though the Athletics took down the Angels in 10 innings, because, the Angels can never give this man any run support. Ohtani, had a great outing. His longest outing of the year, went 8 innings. Was great. So it's, once again, the question has popped back up. What do you go with here? The once-in-a-lifetime season that Ohtani's having that nobody else in MLB history has ever done? Or do you go for the stereotypical, this is, one of the dominant season from Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? 2 of the emerging now superstars in this game, and I don't know. I have no clue who I would even select at this point. It's too close. Honestly, you could give co-MVPs, and I wouldn't argue. But you let me know in the comments. You can let me know who's your MVP, Vlad or Shohei. I got no clue at this point. I got no clue. It's out of my hands. It's above me at this point. The Brewers clinched the playoffs, so congrats to Brewers fans. Big time there. The offense has been a little bit up and down, not been great, but the pitching has been phenomenal, of course, led by Corbin Burns. Congrats to the Brewers. First team out of that NL Central, which they currently lead. Probably will win that division to clinch playoffs. Them alongside the Giants and the Dodgers, the only teams in the NL who have clinched so far. But yeah, congrats to the Brewers. Big time clinching the playoffs this early. Gives you time, takes that pressure off. They got to celebrate. Now we're continuing to talk about the playoffs. We got the AL East, or really I should say the AL Beast, because the wild card has pretty much come down to these three teams, since the Rays are kind of running away with the division, which means the battle for number 2 is just it's similar to the MVP race, way too close. It's getting claustrophobic as a Yankees fan, especially with us just playing terrible down the stretch here. After we had that hot stretch, we have cooled all the way down, got thrashed in back-to-back games versus the Indians. We're 3.5 games back of Boston. Toronto's even closer to that. So who knows? Who knows who's getting the wild card? Who knows at this point? It's way too close. Boston has the easiest route, then Toronto, then we have the hardest. Toronto's probably the hottest team, so I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Whoever plays the best, it's literally like a 3, or should I say 2.5 week shootout for the last 2 playoff spots in the AL East. which has been incredible this year. Incredible baseball, but incredibly stressful for the fans. But if you want some good baseball, you want an interesting storyline, here you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now for the last major topic of the week, the NFL. Starting off, of course, with the Thursday. What's up with the Thursday night games? Well, they've been great. They've been great. They're 2 for 2. 2 for 2. We are 2 for 2, ladies and gentlemen, in Thursday night games. I don't know what it is so far this season, but we 2 for 2. I'll take it. Excuse me. Hopefully the Red Wolves and Red Hawks, but the Washington football team narrowly. I mean by the skin of their teeth. I mean by a Dexter Lawrence false start. Are barely able to sneak by the Giants' game-winning field goal after Dustin Hopkins missed the first one. They got to move it up. He nailed the second one. They get it done. Heineke, not a bad game. Wasn't his cleanest game, but got it done. They were calling Daniel Jones Vanilla Vic at one point in time. I could not stand for that. Though Daniel Jones did have a great game. 22 for 32, 249, a touchdown, 9 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. But Terry McLaurin stole the show. 11 receptions, 107, 1 touchdown. He was scary Terry indeed. Washington gets the win. The Bears took on the Bengals. They get the win 20-17. Dalton goes down. And this was really a part of the string of young quarterbacks being absolutely atrocious this week. I mean, it was a horrific week. Now, we'll talk about Zach Wilson when we get there. But Justin Fields, a lot of people have been clamoring for him to start, and I thought he deserved a chance. Fields, for all intents and purposes, even though there was a lot of drops for the Bears, there were a lot of drops. He didn't have a good game. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, Fields. He showed flashes like all of the young quarterbacks did. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, just because, I'm a fan of Justin Fields, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yo, Fields looked really good. No, he looked bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. A pick, a fumble, it wasn't. It was a collection of bad performances from young quarterbacks. Burrow included. 3 picks in this game. Ended up being costly. It wasn't a pretty game. It was not a pretty game to watch, which a lot of the first half, a lot of the 1 o'clock games this week were not very fun to watch, personally. But, yeah. Browns get the win over the Texans 31-21. They kept that way too close. Baker got injured at one point in time. He was able to come back, get the win late. But Nick Chubb, honestly, 11 carries, 95 yards. He was great. Got the touchdown there. Demetric Felton with that incredible. I know everybody was talking about Damian Harris's run, but Demetric Felton, that run might have been more impressive, honestly. That was, incredible. Tyrod Taylor, also, give a shout out here. 10 for 11, 125 and a touchdown. Yeah, he got knocked out of the game also, but Tyrod hasn't been bad. He has not been bad. But, yeah, Chubb and the Browns are able to get it done. The Rams, Cooper Kupp. What's up with this? Cooper Kupp has been acting, listen, I know he was a good receiver, but he's acting like a number 1, like a top 10 receiver this year. 9 receptions, 163, 2 touchdowns. Him and Stafford have some type of divine connection right now. And it's been working and paying dividends for the Rams. They get the win over the Colts here. Like I said, 27-24. Colts, nobody really of a note. Michael Pittman Jr., though, fight on. 8 receptions, 123. He had a good game. But Rams just outplayed him, got it done. They get the well-deserved win. Matt Gay gets the go ahead, but I think 2 minutes, 38 seconds left. Rams get the win there. Bills, they needed a game like this. Tua got injured in this game. But the Bills, like I said, exercised some demons against the Dolphins. 35-0, pitched the shutout. Josh Allen, once again, the young quarterbacks. If you want to still call Josh Allen, you can still call Josh Allen a young quarterback, even though he's more established. Once again, an up-and-down game. Stephon Diggs finally got in the box. Devin Singletary also got in the box. A better game, and especially from that defense, which was great for the Bills this week. They look like the Bills of last year. Not so much on offense, even though they put up 35 points. Zach Moss with, 2 touchdowns. Run game was working. But, yeah, still some stuff to clean up, but a better game for the Bills this week. The Patriots and the Jets. I said I was going to talk about Zach Wilson. Well, here you go. He was the worst of the quarterbacks, worst of the younger rookie quarterbacks this year. 19 for 33, 210, 4 interceptions, 3 in the first half. At one point in time, the man had 5 completions to 4 interceptions. It was a disaster. It was a disaster start. I thought they were going to pull him. Honestly, I thought we were nearing Nathan Peterman, who, funny enough, is the backup quarterback. We were nearing Nathan Peterman territory. It was bad. It was bad. And it wasn't like they were like off of the wide receiver's hands and then picked off. They were just straight up bad decision making. It was an ugly, ugly game. Matt Jones, who somehow just had the best week of any young quarterback, I guess, or any of the rookie quarterbacks at least. 22 for 30, 186. Classic Matt Jones game. Not glamorous. He just did what he had to do, didn't turn the ball over, and sometimes you'll take that. It was to do enough to get the win. James White and Damian Harris are looking like a great running back duo, by the way. I have to give some credit there. They were great in this game. Jets looking like y'all going to be in contention for that number 1 overall pick. 49ers and the Eagles. The Eagles look like they might be one of those bipolar teams this year, and we just never know which Eagles team we're going to get. The 49ers defense is back. I feel like I can say it. They're back. Nick Bosa was a menace. Deebo Samuel, another quality game. Quez Watkins had like a 93-yard reception that somehow wasn't a touchdown for the Eagles. But Garoppolo able to get it done. 49ers able to get it done. Shout out to that defense. Raiders and Steelers. Raiders get the win 26-17. Raiders and John Gruden have been very, very impressive. They have been very, very impressive so far this season. Derek Carr, 28 for 37, 382, 2 touchdowns. Henry Ruggs, 5 receptions, 113, that huge touchdown. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say they're contenders yet, but the Raiders are looking good. They're looking good. Vegas, you might got something. I mean, we've seen teams start off hot before and then teeter off, but so far, so good for the Raiders. A lot to be optimistic about, especially with the way Gruden's coaching that team and the way that defense is playing, and especially with how Derek Carr is playing, looking like a franchise quarterback. Steelers, Deontay Johnson, 9 receptions, 105. Again, they breed receivers over there in Pittsburgh, but it wasn't enough this week. Vegas gets the win. Panthers, Saints. Panthers get the win 26-7. All I got to say about this game is Jameis Winston is exactly who we thought Jameis Winston is, and CMC is exactly who we think CMC is. It's an easy 100 total yards every week for CMC. There's a reason why he was the number 1 overall pick probably in your fantasy league. I picked him first in one of my leagues, and he paid dividends. But yeah, Jameis back to, Jameis stuff. And the Panthers, Sam Darnold, another 300-yard passing game, 2 touchdowns here. He might be the answer. I never thought he was the problem. Yeah, sure, I'm a USC fan, but I never thought he was the problem in the Jets. I think it was the environment. And here, with Matt Rule and this Panthers team, him being in a better environment, he's playing much better. And they get the win over here against I won't say a very good, that remains to be seen. But an above average at the very least, a talented Saints team, even though they were missing a lot of defensive pieces this week. Broncos and the Jaguars. Lawrence threw one of the prettiest balls I've ever seen, but then after that, it fell apart. Not a great game for Trev. This week. He picks up his second career regular season loss. Teddy H2O, though, really was the bigger story. More than anything that happened with the Jaguars and then competing for another number 1 overall pick. Teddy Bridgewater going 26 for 34, 328, and 2 touchdowns was eyebrow raising. That was, not what you would expect from Teddy, but hey, he looked good. Maybe they don't need to go get a Deshaun Watson. Maybe Bridgewater can prove that, hey, he can be a viable starting quarterback in this league. And right now, 2-0, the Broncos are. He's got it done both weeks. Cortland Sutton is back. 9 receptions, 159, great game. I think he gave me 24 fantasy points. Shout out to Cortland. And yeah, Denver moves on to 2-0. They get the win. Chubb got hurt, Bradley Chubb. And we finally got that Von Miller-Chubb, combo, but then he got hurt. Hate to see it. Vikings and the Cardinals were one of the best games of the week. Cardinals somehow, by the skin of their teeth, able to pull that out. Vikings, you just knew he was going to miss the field goal. You just knew. Kirk Cousins had a great game, 22 for 32, 244, 3 touchdowns, did what he had to do. Dalvin did what he had to do, 22 carries, 131. Kyler Murray, 29 for 36, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Rondale Moore put everybody on notice, looked like the Rondale Moore of Purdue. 7 receptions, 114, 1 touchdown. That Cardinals team, man, they're fun to watch. They're fun to watch. At the very minimum, they're going to be one of the funner teams, one of the most exciting teams to watch. At the very minimum, Vikings, y'all are the most competitive 0-2 team I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. Shout out to Minnesota fans, because y'all stick through to them, do thick and thin, but it's a rough one. It's really a rough one. Buccaneers dominate the Falcons 48-25. It just wasn't Tom Brady, 5 touchdowns. Don't really need to say too much more. Brady dominant. Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns. Matt Ryan is washed. He's looking very, very washed. I mean, squeaky clean. He's looking washed. 3 interceptions in this game. Bucs defense legit. Offense legit. They're the defending champs for a reason. Cowboys, game winner. Shout out to my boy Greg the Leg. Chargers, they haven't taken that jump. A lot of people expected them to take a jump. They just haven't. They have not looked that impressive this year. Cowboys get their first win of the season. Shout out to Greg the Leg. We able to get it done. Titans, Seahawks, overtime. Derrick Henry, 50 ball in fantasy. Shout out to everybody that has Derrick Henry, like me. And shout out to everybody that had to play him, because I'm praying for you, because he did unholy things to some people's fantasy teams. But yeah, Derrick Henry, 35 carries, 182, 3 touchdowns. Julio finally got his 6 receptions, 128. Tyler Lockett is a beast, 8 receptions, 178, 1 touchdown. Russell Wilson, 22 for 31, 343, 2 touchdowns. The loss is definitely not on him. But the Titans, Randy Bullock with the game winner. One of the better games. We started off kind of rough on the 1 o'clocks, but once we hit those 4 o'clocks, and I'll talk about the Sunday night game, we hit a stride and we had a lot of good games. I was going to go see the soccer game here, but decided to stay because that's how good the games were, honestly. And of course, like I said, to end off, the Ravens and the Chiefs. Everybody making such a big deal about this Lamar versus Patty Mahomes and the rivalry that is supposed to be there. But yeah, honestly, didn't think the Ravens were going to pull it out. But what do you know? Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson, and he closed the show. It did look good. He didn't start off good, threw a pair of picks. Mahomes was working, 3 touchdowns, 343, 224 for 31 here. Kelsey, 7 receptions, 109 and a touchdown. But thanks to Clyde Edwards-Helaire falling apart with a horrific fumble, he has just not lived up to expectation so far in his career. Just straight up hasn't. The Ravens are able to pull it out. They're able to pull it out, able to get it done when it matters. Lamar over 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Hollywood Brown, 113, 1 touchdown, 6 receptions. Congrats to the Ravens, man. Congrats to him. Congrats to Lamar. A lot of pressure has been put on him about this game, about this matchup, and they finally get that win. It's huge. It's a huge momentum changer, John Harbaugh continues to be one of the best coaches in the NFL. Had faith in his quarterback, and it paid off. Congrats to the Ravens. The Chiefs will be fine. But yeah, a big time win this early in the season for the Ravens to really build momentum on and continue on from here. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, in one of the longer episodes we've had in recent times here on the A15 Exchange, we have reached the Roundup, which is really just combat sports this week. Lionheart Smith was able to sub Ryan Spahn. We had a UFC fight night. They headlined. Lionheart Smith, he entertains. Not really. He's had one, probably I can remember, boring fight. But with all due respect, even though he's not able to hang with the elite of the light heavyweights, he's always able to provide a little bit of excitement. And perhaps that's why he's got the most main events since, I think, 2017 with 7. But yeah, Lionheart Smith able to sub Spahn in the first round as well. We'll see where he goes from here. Joaquin Buckley, another high real KO. Another guy, similar to Lionheart Smith, but in this vein, when Buckley fights, he's either getting knocked out spectacularly or he's going to knock somebody out spectacularly. There's no in between. Buckley, one of the more exciting fighters, I'd say, in the UFC today, just because of how explosive he is and all of his fights are. You just know something insane, something that you're going to see on Twitter trending. It's going to happen. It's going to happen every time Buckley fights. And, of course, this coming week and what I'll be watching Saturday nights, Anthony Joshua defends his heavyweight titles against the former undisputed cruiserweight champ, Alexander Usyk. I'm very excited about this matchup. Joshua Usyk, pound for pound guys, 2 of the best in the world. Finally matching up. We've been waiting on this since Usyk came up to heavyweight. finally a true test for him to see where he is amongst the elite. If he wins this fight, you gotta think he's gotta be in contention with like Canelo for top pound for pound. You know, if he's able to do this as one of the few cruiserweights to ever come up and win the heavyweight title. But should be a good win. After that, whoever wins, well, if Usyk wins, we're probably gonna get a rematch. But if Joshua wins, we have to get the undisputed title match with the winner of probably Tyson Fury, of the winner of Fury and Wilder. We absolutely have to get that. It is imperative that we get that matchup. But Joshua Usyk, you guys can let me know your predictions. I got Joshua. I think he gets it done and sets up the undisputed match. But yeah, without further ado, episode 59, like I said, a lot of football from both sides, from both continents. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. But without further ado, Ocho signing off.